Now, Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
The stunning implosion of 38 studios at a cost to taxpayers of nearly $100 million has many in Rhode Island wary of state support for private companies. But 38 Studios is an outlier. Two other tech firms tapped the same program for much smaller amounts. A $4 million guarantee went to the corporate marketplace in North Kingstown, and $1.5 million went to NuLabel Technologies in Providence. What are they doing with the state support? And can it continue after 38 Studios collapse? This week on Executive Suite, Chris Crawford of the corporate marketplace and Max Winograd of NuLabel Technologies. Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Max, Chris, thank you for being with me today on the show. I want to start off with just a discussion of your companies because you're not household names before we get into the fact that you also use the Job Creation Guarantee program. So let's start with the basics. Chris, I read an old article that called your company relatively invisible. So what's the corporate marketplace? What do you do?
We actually tried to hide initially. We are a technology hub that literally plugs in to two different sides of an equation, making a process that used to not exist happen. So on one side we plug into the best brands in the world, and on the other side we plug into corporate America, which is very wired, and we allow for transactions to happen that otherwise couldn't happen previously.
Now I'm a little, can you get into more of a layman's detailed explanation
Sure.
of how that works and what we're talking about?
There are a plethora of corporations around the United States and the world that use incentives to motivate and reward their employees. And what we do is we allow for that process to happen seamlessly by bringing the best brands in the world into that equation. So IBM and General Motors and AT&T and Exxon, all customers of ours, are able to access rewards to give to their best employees. And an order placed on our system today ships today or tomorrow directly from the factory to the winner of that particular reward.
So you've sort of become the hidden retail arm of these.
Correct. We have no inventory. Everything is virtual. And we have redundant systems in Denver, so if anything ever happens here in Rhode Island, storms or whatever, we're up and running out there instantly.
And I think that you got the idea from your previous work before you founded this company around 99 or 2000.
Correct.
And where'd the idea come from? What gave you the spark?
It came from calling on the largest houses out there that manage corporate programs and seeing that they were going through a very arduous process of paper-driven. And it was very complicated and difficult for them, particularly to get jewelry. And Rhode Island, being the jewelry capital at the time anyway, allowed us to bring a lot of Rhode Island companies into the mix to get sales that otherwise they wouldn't have had.
Interesting. And now, Max, NuLabel, I actually was saying to you before we started, I remember at my last gig at Providence Business News covering you as a student at Brown University in the Rhode Island Business Plan competition. I think you were a semifinalist?
Yeah.
Semifinalist. So it's obviously worked out pretty well so far. Explain to us, what's NuLabel Technologies? I think you have some props to show us exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I've got here the problem and the solution.
Hold them up for people so we can see.
The problem is today that every time a company like a Walmart or a UPS prints out a label, they have to peel off the back of the label, and you end up with this waxy silicone trash.
Sure, everyone knows.
And there's millions of pounds of that go to waste or incineration every single year, and they're also paying for it. And in this day and age of profitability and productivity, we still deal with labels that are 40% waste. So this is where our technology comes in. And what we've developed is it looks the exact same, except we've developed a liner-free label that doesn't have a backing. It's not sticky to the touch, so
Nothing
you can run
to
your finger over it, nothing to peel, but the adhesive's here, it just isn't active yet. And so what we've developed is an activatable adhesive and an activation hardware that goes in the front of label printers. So it's a retrofit for your existing FedEx printer or your pharmacy printer or your supermarket scale printer or even your beer bottle labeler.
So theoretically, I'm thinking of a prescription at CVS, not to say they're your customer, but they print out all those little labels that go in the pill bottle and everything. In this case, CVS would buy your hardware and your product here and put that on the end, and they'd feed through, Ted Nesi at this address, and they'd have it now, and they could just stick it right off of there?
Yep, absolutely. It comes out, it's instantly sticky. We can stick to anything, whether it's plastic, cardboard, or bottle glass. And the label itself, nothing changed with the image. So the printing process is the same. So it's a seamless integration low-cost retrofit, and ultimately they're cutting costs and they're eliminating all the waste tied to their labels.
And you were a political science major, how'd you come up with this idea?
So I was able to, at Brown, partner up with my two co-founders, Ben Lux and Mike Woods. Ben's background is in polymer science. He was getting his PhD at the time. We convinced him to just get a master's and start NuLabel. And then Mike's background is in mechanical engineering and manufacturing and design. And so together they represent the brains behind the glue, the brains behind the hardware, and I'm the guy on TV, I guess.
Well, it's not a bad thing to be, I would say. And I think I read that you looked at a lot of different possible solutions to this, and one was barnacles.
Yes, we did. We looked at everything from what's out there in nature today, where you've got barnacles that are hard to scrape off, so we wanted to see if maybe we could use the special anti-proteins that are involved there. We looked at enzymes, we looked at UV, heat, pressure, all these different types. But at the end of the day, none of them were cost-effective solutions for customers or were able to sort of be pulled together and commercialized in short periods of time. So that's what this technology comes into. It's the first activatable adhesive to come out of a label printer that can stick to plastic.
Very cool. So the reason you're both here is something I should say. There's no connection between you two other than the reason I brought you both on today, and I appreciate you being here, is you both tapped the Job Creation Guarantee Program. Now, for the people at home, Rhode Island's been in the business of backing loans to local companies for decades. There was the Industrial Recreational Building Authority, has been around since the 50s. But this new program was created to provide guarantees, as I understand it, for companies like yours that don't have tangible assets, hard, big trucks or whatever, and have intellectual property. It was going to be $50 million. Famously, it got up to $125 million. 75 went to 38 studios. That's a long way of saying this is the 38 studios loan program. I want to start with you, Chris. You said the program shouldn't be tainted because of it's associated with Schilling and 38 studios. Why? Why was it important to you?
I'd actually like to see it expanded. I think as originally construed, the program was designed properly and was a very, very good idea. If anything, I'd like to see some equity matched with it, and then also some banks matched with it on the side to create an even bigger pool for people to be able to pull from. For a company like ourselves, a software entity, if you will, it's very hard to go out and get capital from banks that you can use. They're looking for hard assets. We actually had a bank say, go out and buy $1 million printing press, we'll give you the money today. Well, we didn't need $1 million printing press, so it was a nice idea, but we needed capital to grow in a different fashion. And the only way to do that was to go with this Jobs Guarantee program. And we've structured our deal quite a bit differently than the Schilling deal, if you will.
How so?
It's a lot smaller amount of money.
$4 million,
It's $4 million. It's tranched. So we have taken down $2 million. Of the $2 million, we've put $1 million in a bank that neither us nor EDC nor our bank can touch as a reserve in case anything should ever happen to happen. We're managing the company to grow profitably. We're adding the number of employees, 17 this year. We've just added 5 new kids right out of college last week after a pretty rigorous process to find the best kids we could get our hands on. And we're able to now step on the gas and grow very quickly. We're already growing at 30% a month. We think we can do even better. And we're going to manage it, we're going to be profitable, and we're going to drive that revenue, and then we'll hit the other tranches, but only after those things actually happen.
So could you have continued to grow without being able to tap this?
Not this quickly. Could we have? Yes. But our goal is to grow much quicker than the 49 jobs we've committed to. I'd like to grow into the hundreds of jobs, and I'd like our company to grow into a $100 million, $200 million, $300 million company as quickly as we possibly can. But we're going to do it very prudently.
And which may have been the problem with 38 Studios. All right, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Max about what the Job Creation Guarantee Program did for NuLabel Technologies, and we're going to look some more at the argument in favor of having a program like this here in Rhode Island. Stay with us. You're watching Executive Suite. That was good, yeah. I'm still getting on the timing. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nacey. Our guests this week, the other 2 companies that use the 38 Studios loan program. We're here with Chris Crawford of the Corporate Marketplace and Max Winograd of NuLabel Technologies. Before the break, we heard from Chris about why he used the Job Creation Guarantee Program. Max, tell us about
why you used it at NuLabel and what you got and what it's done for you.
Sure. As an early stage company, one of the hardest things to do is to attract funding from investors or to attract financing from a bank. And this program sort of sat in the middle between those two funding gaps. For us, we were able to go out and attract private funding from angel investors and venture capital, and then use that as part of a story to talk with the state to use this program, as Chris did, as essentially rocket fuel or rocket boosters to help us just grow faster. We wouldn't be hiring as quickly as we could without having this extra backstop of the loan guarantee in place. And I think having that along with the private sector funding created additional comfort for our existing investors and potential investors, knowing that there's more capital coming to NuLabel so that we're more financially stable for a longer period of time.
How rigorous was the process you had to go through? What was sort of, how much did you have to tell them? What did you have to show? What went into that?
It was a very in-depth due diligence process. They had several site visits to Providence, to our facility. They met with members on our board. They met with members of management beyond just myself. They looked through all of the basic financial documents that any investor would ask to look through. But in addition to that, they looked through a lot of projections to see where we saw that we could grow. And then they went through, and their underwriters did a sensitivity analysis. What happens if we were off by 15%, 50%, 80%, and things were a lot slower or a lot faster? What would that do to the company, and what is this still a good investment in this business? Even though the state has not made any cash investment in NuLabel, they are out there with that guarantee, and so they wanted to make sure that the underwriters were confident in the sustainability of our business.
That's an important point. In your case, then, you haven't actually tapped the cash, the $1.5 million. You haven't received any checks from it yet. The guarantee exists, and your investors know that, but you haven't gotten any money from it yet.
Correct. And that's, I mean, I think part of the value of the new guidelines that came in place for Chris's deal as well as for NuLabel's deal is that there's this private sector component as well as the public sector component. And for us, we closed on a series of investment from private sector investors, angel investors and venture capital, 3 weeks before we were able to close on the job creation guarantee funds. And because of that, there was more confidence going into that investment or that decision by the board. And then you also had the fact that the job creation guarantee was coming at a time where that wasn't our sole source of capital. And so we haven't needed to tap it because of that, but we have there's a backstop so we can make better business decisions because we're not living hand to mouth every single day because we're worried about our cash flow. Instead, we're able to take a little bit more risk, but at the same time being more judicious with how we're going to grow a profitable business because there's a lot of additional hooks attached to this money. I'm personally a guarantor of that $1.5 million. And so we take, and so are my co-founders, and so we take that investment very seriously.
I got to ask the question everyone at home will wonder, which is, Chris, what happens if you go bust? Sometimes things go wrong at a company. We've just seen this. People are freaked out about what happened with 38 Studios. What happens? What's the taxpayer side of this?
I think that the taxpayers are protected in our particular case because we're managing the process a whole lot differently than maybe it's managed in the past. Yeah, things can go wrong, but we've got a very savvy board of directors, again, back with some equity folks, and I think we're going to marshal the resources properly as we grow this to alleviate that risk. The bank is committed to actually buy out this particular program in advance if we continue to hit our benchmarks so that EDC can redeploy the money with other companies. And as with you, I'm personally backing everything that we're doing.
Max, I mentioned earlier you were a poli-sci major at Brown, and you know this has fed into a broader debate about the involvement of government in the private sector and in picking winners, as Republicans often say. I mean, what's the case in your mind? Obviously, it's helped your company personally, but what's the role here, and how do you defend that to people who say, look what just happened with Schilling's company?
Yeah, I think the critical opportunity is there's no way that you could create a program like this where you're not picking winners from other people, but it can all be a pool of winners. If you say that it has to be private sector backed before they even are able to apply for the program, then you've already got a pool of winners. They've already gotten traction from savvy, sophisticated investors that have already made a lot of money investing in other companies. In addition to that, you have to add into the factor that someone's willing to bet on themselves and really put their financial future, a personal guarantee, on the line for this, as they would with a lot of traditional bank lending. And so those components make it more likely that you're going to have a company that's a winner and an entrepreneur that's a winner, and then you're just picking among a pool of winners to find the greatest opportunities for success and the biggest outputs for Rhode Island from a job creation standpoint and revenue generation standpoint. So I think it can be done as long as it's not the government that's first in line. If they're first in line, then yeah, they're picking winners and they're picking losers, But if it's after private sector has come in and invested, and there's a personal guarantee on the line, then it's picking winners from winners.
There's also, in your case, Chris, the validation of revenue, the fact that you have customers.
Right, we're doing tens of millions in revenue a year and growing at 30%. And I found the process within EDC to be equally rigorous, and it was not a rubber stamp kind of a process. I think sometimes EDC gets a bad reputation amongst the public. I found them to be very thorough, and I think some of the people on their finance committee are former bankers. They're at the head of the SBA. They did their due diligence, and I think, again, to go back to your previous question, it alleviates some of that fear that Rhode Islanders might have.
And you used EDC loans earlier, too, small business loans, and you paid those back, right?
We paid them back early, and I think that's where EDC also had a comfort level in working with us.
All right, well, we have to take another break. Coming up, the big questions in Rhode Island. How do we get the economy back on track, and what are these two seeing on the ground? Stick with us. You're watching Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. Our guests this week, Chris Crawford of the Corporate Marketplace and Max Winograd, NuLabel Technologies. Gentlemen, I want to do a quick gut check with both of you. Max first. Rhode Island is bad for business. True or false?
False.
Why?
It's because ultimately there's two types of businesses. There are young companies and there are mature companies. Young companies don't care about tax rates and some of the structural issues that are always being batted around in the newspapers. And so if we can get as many young companies that are forced to grow in order to survive, to come here and start here, and we already have with companies like Beta Spring and other institutions that are incubating great ideas and great entrepreneurs, we're going to be in a great position to be the next Silicon Valley here in Rhode Island.
Now I have to challenge you on that. You're the entrepreneur at this table. I'm just the
Yep.
TV hack. But the idea that even a small company wouldn't be that concerned with taxes and regulatory policies, I mean, they have to affect you. What makes you say that? Why do you say that?
I'm talking about not small companies, I'm talking about young companies.
Excuse me, young companies. But even still, wouldn't that affect your...
Well, with young companies, as an example, as a founder, typically founders pay themselves very little because they want to put as much money as they can into the business, into R&D, into getting their product out there. So my partners and I, we pay ourselves very little. So I really don't care what the top marginal rate is at the state tax level. That's not going to force me to pick up and move to another region of the country where it's more competitive. Instead, I'm going to plant my roots in a place where I can create a business that can thrive, that can hire top talent, that can find the capital, both the human capital and the financial capital that it can. And Providence, in the last 3 years, through Beta Spring, Rice, and other institutions, has proven that it can be that exact kind of place. And we just need to think about it more on a regional level, that we're able to compete in the region and be a thriving location for human capital and financial capital.
And RICE, for people at home, is the Rhode Island Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Partnership a few years ago. Chris, same question to you. Rhode Island is bad for business. True or false?
I think it's very good for business. We've been able to tap into a phenomenal college workforce. We've had kids interns from master's programs at Bryant, RISD, Brown, URI. We've targeted those kids and brought them in as interns. We've hired them. They're still on board. We love the whole educational environment. I'd like to see it actually flourish even a little bit more. We have found it to be a great place to do business.
I hear that, and then I think to myself, boy, I just wrote about 11% unemployment. I mean, how do you in your own mind, just as a citizen, square where you see positives here, and yet clearly the state has some real trouble economically?
It has trouble economically with the education of the workforce. I think that there has to be a collaborative effort between education starting at the high school level and the college level and the workforce to bring those three together to make it work in a much more quick and an immediacy attached to it, because the opportunity is there, as you said. I think Rhode Island has the ability to actually do this where other big states don't, if we all get together and get on board with it.
Have you ever considered leaving Rhode Island, taking Corporate Marketplace and going?
No, we've had offers. We just had one about 2 weeks ago for Kentucky. Absolutely not.
Bourbon, though, that would be that might be enjoyable. Max, you're from Atlanta, I believe, right?
Yep.
And you turned down a consulting job when you graduated from
Yep.
Brown, I remember, to build NuLabel and to stay here in Rhode Island. And just this morning, I know you told a group at the Chamber, Rhode Island's the best kept secret in the country. What was the appeal to you, and why did you decide to stay when you obviously could have gone home or gone somewhere else?
At the end of the day, when I'd committed myself and my partners, we had committed ourselves to start this business. We then needed to find and identify where's the best place that we can plant our roots and grow and thrive very quickly. And we found that Rhode Island was the perfect place to do that. Because at that stage in the business, You need to find the best mentors, advisors, and folks that you can augment your founding team to get the advice that you need, the access to capital, and the ways to improve your business plan so that you can go out to customers and suppliers and be able to enhance your ability to then succeed. And those mentors are terrific right here in Rhode Island. In such a small, accessible state, you can connect with people across different trades and organizations and industries, and that's what we're able to do. And with programs like Beta Spring as an accelerator that takes startups in and for just 12 weeks mentors them and gives them the kind of connections and network that they need to succeed in the field when they go on their own, we were able to tap into that in their first year in 2009. So we found that Providence was ripe and the perfect spot for us to grow as a business because we had the network that we could immediately tap into.
And you feel strongly, I've heard you say that before, about it's not something that gets discussed a lot in economic development, mentoring. You think having a network of more senior and seasoned executives or business people to talk to, you think that's very important to the culture of the place?
Absolutely. I think that the cheapest and easiest way, and probably the most efficient way for this state and for the citizens of this state to eventually pull ourselves out of the structural problem and grow the pie that is both revenue and employers in the state is through mentorship. And it has to be organic, it has to be one-on-one, and it has to be based on the self-selection of which people who are experts in their field, who are industry veterans, who maybe are people that have decided to retire to Rhode Island because they love being near the water, that they've been able to then come out and be a part of their local community and mentor the next generation of entrepreneurs, the next generation of skilled tradesmen, and we can leverage that opportunity at a cost of zero to the taxpayer.
We're running short of time, but I want to finish up by getting both of you just sort of the business outlook for your companies, back to what you do day to day. How's it looking? You know, where are things right now? What are you looking at moving forward? You just did
Very
some hiring.
positive with our new group of kids that we've just brought on. We can get back to where we can grow, 40, 50, 60% every single month. So we're very excited about it.
And how much have you been affected by the recession? How have you seen demand? What did you see there, and what's it been like since?
We weren't affected, but 1 year we had a slight reduction in revenue, but other than that, it's been a straight ramp up.
And now, Max, I think you're a little earlier stage than corporate marketplace, right? You're still talking to companies and about.
So we have generated some revenue to this point, but it is not nearly at the $10 million number yet. But what we have done though, in this year is, for us, this year is the year of the launch. And so we've already begun that rollout. Our technology is going to be making its way across a couple different platforms later this year. And we're positioned ourselves to grow both from a headcount perspective, a technology perspective, and then from a customer perspective over the next several years. So we envision continued growth on almost an exponential level from a top line, as well as just an ability to proliferate our technology to eliminate the waste from every label that's out there.
And there's interest in this? Do you think there's interest in this?
It's a double bottom line win because it's zero waste, so you reduce your carbon footprint as a business and you'll save money.
All right, that's all the time we have this week. I want to thank our guests, Chris Crawford, Max Winograd, and I want to thank you for tuning in here on MyRI TV to Executive Suite. If you missed any of the show, catch it on our website, WPRI.com. I'm Ted Nisi. We'll see you next week and every week on Executive Suite.